Welcome back. Well, we are still talking to Dr. Kirtane about ENT health and ENT issues. Well, Dr. Kirtane, a lot of people don't know they have acid reflux, which might be in fact resulting in a cough or sinusitis. What's the correlation?
Acid reflux is when the acid from the stomach comes into the esophagus. Normally, after you eat, the food is supposed to pass on forwards. There should be no acid coming up. But there are times when the acid does come up. There are conditions where the esophageal sphincter is maybe incompetent, and that happens. And that acid reflux can come as high as your throat. So you can get changes in your voice box, laryngitis, to the extent that you might even get ulceration. So you can get a pricking pain, change in the voice, cough because the larynx is now irritated. It has been shown even to come up higher into the back of the nose. So producing what we call nasopharyngitis. It can lead to problems in the eustachian tube. It has been shown sometimes in children who have a lot of acid reflux that they can even get ear problems because of the acid reflux. So what the acid reflux does again is produces inflammation.
Okay.
And inflammation then allows infection to come in more easily.
Okay.
So we see a lot of throat complaints which are related to acid reflux.
Okay. Vertigo. You said it is a problem that you see amongst your patients. What causes it, and how does one probably try and avoid it or resolve it?
Yeah. Now, first of all, vertigo is not a disease. A lot of people come to me and say, "Oh God, doctor, I've got vertigo. It's like some terminal illness." No, vertigo only is a symptom. And basically, vertigo means you get a sensation of things moving around you when no such movement is actually taking place. And we would tend to divide this into two major groups: peripheral vertigo, which comes from the inner ear, which is your organ of balance. And there is central vertigo, because ultimately the balance organ interacts with the brain to control balance. So you could have changes occurring in the brain which can also produce symptoms of vertigo. Not only that, but there are sort of systemic disorders. If your blood sugar is too low, you may get vertigo. If your blood pressure is too low or too high, you may get vertigo. So there are so many systemic conditions. So investigating a patient of vertigo is really a big task. And what we tend to do is to take a very detailed history which points us in a particular direction, and then go along that track to see, is my guess correct? Is it Meniere's disease or not, where there is a swelling in the inner ear? Or is this a viral infection of the ear? Or there is a very common condition called benign positional vertigo, where the patient says every time he lies down and turns on a side, they spin. Now, this can be corrected, but provided you diagnose it correctly. So that's some of the common causes of peripheral vertigo. Central nervous system, degenerative disease in the brain, or lack of blood supply to the brain can produce symptoms of vertigo. And then I said the systemic disorders.
Okay.
So it's a huge problem that you need to deal with.
But most of the times you see it in the elderly, and it is something that
Not necessarily. We also get people between their 30s, 40s, 50s coming with Meniere's disease, positional vertigo and things like that. The elderly come, they are more likely to be the central type with poor blood circulation or degenerative diseases. But vertigo can occur even in children.
Okay.
And there is a lot of relationship now being discovered of a relationship between vertigo caused by migraine. So it's a Pandora's box. Yeah.
4,000 cochlear implant surgeries. Can you just explain to us how life-changing are these surgeries?
These surgeries of cochlear implant were meant for adults initially when they came in. People like you and me who could hear normally, speak normally, something happened, maybe a virus infection, drug reaction, ototoxic drugs. When they said in the 90s that we would do it in children, people felt it won't work. Today in India, all over the country, 90 to 95% are children.
Wow.
And 5% are adults, while in the developed countries, it's 50-50 or 60% adults and 40% children. So let's talk about the children, because we've got 95% of them. And these children who are born deaf, who are profoundly deaf, and they are beyond the range of a hearing aid. Even the hearing aid doesn't help them. So if they don't hear, they can't learn language and speech. So they have to have lip reading, sign language. That does mean limited opportunities for higher education and things like that. So they are brilliant. I have children whom I have operated who are doing medicine, who are doing law, engineering. They're into IT in a big way. There's one girl who's getting married in December. She stood first in the 12th standard exam in a normal college amongst all their peers with only one cochlear implant, and she's working in a bank in Denmark.
Oh, lovely.
You change their life completely. They become absolutely mainstream. But what's more important, you change the life of the whole family. You should download an app on your phone which gives you the decibel level of whatever you are doing. Anything more than 80 decibel prolonged period can give you deafness. If you go to 100 decibels or more, short exposures, which is what music concerts are all about. Huge big speakers and they're blasting music. And if you go to 130 decibels, a single exposure can give you deafness. So what happens is the sound vibrations through the eardrum, through the ossicles, go to the inner ear. Those hair cells, which are supposed to convert the sound into electrical energy, are extremely delicate structures. So when they get pounded with this much of sound energy, they can't take it. So they start degenerating, they start going down. And that's why people who are exposed to, that's why you see in airports, they're asked to wear earmuffs. Factories, they're supposed to wear earmuffs. And very often you find the earmuffs around the neck. They don't want to wear them. They're all at risk. So whether it's music industry, aircrafts, factories where there is a lot of noise, the same pathology applies. Too much power going into the ear, destroying the hair cells.
A lot of people use earpods all the time now. Is it harmful to use earpods all the time, as well as maybe earphones?
No, I don't think they are harmful in themselves. It all depends upon the volume at which you're playing them. So if you're hearing them at normal volume, I don't think there is any harm in it. But if you are the one who tries to sort of boost up your music and you're hearing it all the time, I told you 80 decibels and above for a prolonged period is going to cause damage. So if you're using that, be sensible. Keep the volume to tolerable levels.
Okay. And what's the best advice that you can give for ENT health?
We talked about pollution. Protect yourself. So for each of these, for voice, avoid straining. For hearing, avoid noise exposure. One more thing I must say. Earbuds in the ear. That's a no-no.
Never do that.
Earbuds are meant to clean these outside crevices. It's, they're very often bigger than the size of the ear canal, and you try to take out wax, and at least 3 to 4 times a week I get people who have damaged not the eardrum but the canal skin with the earbuds. So one warning, therefore cleaning the outside, not the inside of the ear. If you have allergies, try to get to the root cause of the allergy, try to find out what you're allergic.
Okay, all right, Dr. Kirtane, it has been a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining in and speaking to us about a whole host of ENT issues. We've probably just about scratched the surface. We'll probably get you back on to discuss more detailed issues. Thanks very much for joining in.
Thank you very much for having me on the show.